Well, good morning. I am horribly sick, but I managed to tape a series of Nailsin ratings videos talking about pulp culture and news, and I did so to have those ready to go. I tend to do that anyway, but especially since there's also a winter storm upon us, and I don't know, specifically Sunday, it might be pretty bad out here, enough to I might be out of power for a while and stuff like that. So uh, I'm going to schedule those throughout those days, even though I'm hoping I'll be through this by then, and my voice might sound better by then, but I don't know. Uh, it's it's awful, but nevertheless, I do put in messages before each video apologizing for my sick voice. So you're excuse me, you're going to hear that message throughout today's show, which see, you can watch all the videos right here and now, and if you forget, you can catch up on them later when they come out individually. So that's the show. I stuck in a few of my little cartoon bits and stuff in between a couple of them, but that's what I got. Now another thing was it made more sense to do it that way because of the coughing fits, stuff like that, sneezing, the drill. So I was able to edit all that out. So at least most of it. So there you go. See, all that I did while sitting here. Well, what else was I gonna do? I mean, I slept mostly, but then sometimes you can't. It's miserable. So, Susan Dolan says, hi, it's cold right now, but no snow on the weather radar. Yeah. We'll probably skate the worst of it in my position, but you just never know. I mean, I know it's going to rain a lot Sunday, and then it's going to drop, in the 20s, freezing up and snapping power lines and stuff like that is there. So, and the occasional, idiot slide. That happened just last week. The power got knocked out. It was brief, but some guy slammed into a pole and knocked it down. So, but with the added icy road, it increases those chances as well. So it's just one of those things. Besides, I tend, when I can, do that ahead of time, and especially since I go into work. I will not be going into work tonight. I'm too sick. I don't know that I'll be up for any kind of, streaming or anything like that. So this is probably it. But I am trying to get my hours in for streaming when I can. And then this cold comes in and knocks me out. So struggle as I might to make this happen. I already did my perhaps but maybe not thing. I didn't think I could get away with just a collection of recent Nailsin ratings videos. However, I probably, in the future, I'll probably do it as well, is to just run my night audio stories and stuff while I draw or stuff like that. That might make for a fun video. But anyway, oh God, my throat is really hurting. So, gonna go ahead and get the show off and running. I talked about teaser trailers and stuff. Let's see, Masters of the Universe. There's that one. Looked at that. There's this Darth Maul thing that they're doing. Then MCU and DCU stuff. So check out my videos on that subject matter, and do enjoy. Once again, apologies. I am under the weather, so my voice is not all that great. But here I'll talk about Masters of the Universe. And plans for a movie on this IP has been in the works for a very, very long time. Probably almost immediately after the original attempt back in the 80s with Dolph Lundgren. And one of the serious problems with that movie was they shifted it to Earth. And most of it took place at some store. It was pretty bad. The sad thing about it, if they'd just gone to do a campy movie like Flash Gordon had done earlier, it'd probably be all right. But I guess they just didn't have the money. I don't know. There's a long-winded story about it all. And yeah, you can look. I think Midnight's Edge does a good take on it and all that. So, but anyway, the trailer debuts. A lot of it looks very cool. It does. It's directed by Travis Knight. I'm not familiar with his work, but Bumblebee, which again I didn't see, but a lot of people like it. So it's probably the best Transformers movie, a franchise I didn't really care for. But the Michael Bay movie, I saw the first two, and eventually the third one. I think the third one was terrible. Yeah, I didn't care for those. But Bumblebee, a lot of people, praise it. So there's the poster. Doesn't look too bad, and you got all these people playing it. And oh, look, it's Jared Leto. So see, one wonders, hey, did they go back in and CGI to make him a complete skull? Did they do some kind of makeup on? But due to reactions to Jared Leto lately, hey, look, let's just make him look like Skeletor. Well, he should always look like Skeletor. So I don't know. That's just speculation. But here, the trailer hints at a modern take on the classic Mattel toy line and animated series. Well, that's the only worrisome thing. That and the fact that it probably spends a lot of time on Earth. That'll save money without having to make fantastic sets or whatnot, which in these days seems like they could still get around it. But I suppose, the CGI work is expensive as well. So opt for quite a few shots on Earth, and Eternia comes in later, but for how much? You see a lot of cool scenes in the trailer, and it looks fantastic, but that might be the full amount that you actually get in the film, and if that's the case, that's pretty bad. So I don't play trailers because I never know what the rules are. I play them, but I don't put them on my videos. But I can look at stills and stuff that articles have. So here's a better look, I guess, at Jared Leto's Skeletor, and it looks pretty damn good. Yeah, that's Skeletor. Of course, similar shot from the previous one. Here's looks to be Snake Mountain, and that looks really good. That's pretty amazing look there. But is this only a few seconds you get in the film? The rest of it, they're in Los Angeles or whatever. Another full-on look at that initial image, and it just looks really. This is great. This looks, here's him fighting with He-Man, and also very good, using his magic and whatnot. And so there they are. It looks perfect. I don't know if that's in Snake Mountain or if it's in Castle Grayskull. Probably Grayskull. I don't know. And this is really good looking stuff for all that. Allison Bree's Evil Lynn, Hafthor Bjornsson as Goatman. Yeah, Goatman. Sam C. Wilson as Trapjaw, and Kojo Atta as Triclops. Yeah. There they are, continuing to fight. Nicholas Galazine, I guess. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's good casting for He-Man. Certainly the guy really does have the look. of He-Man. So there's some cool imagery from the film, so you get that. But you notice the best is it's all this Eternia stuff. If only the whole movie were like that, you know. Well, unfortunately, it's not. It's the whole movie. So here he is doing his Clark Kent thing, and oh no, maybe it's not He-Man in the Masters of the Universe, but him. See, they could have. I wonder if there was any. What are the odds there's an iteration that, you know, they would change Adam to Amanda or something like that, and she turns into a man because she identifies as a man and becomes He-Man. Yeah, sure, why not? So anyway, he's initially from Eternia, but his mom, which I'm guessing they're keeping with the story that his mother is from Earth, that she was an astronaut that got lost in space and ended up on Eternia and marries King Randor, and they have Adam, their child. But anyway, oh boy, there's trouble, and to keep him safe, probably because Skeletor takes over or something like that. So Adam is spirited away to Earth. And so he's living in hiding there in his dumpy apartment, working at a crappy job. And oh boy, he's bored, but he really wishes he could be back on this fantastic world of, you know, high adventure. And there's young Adam again looking up to mommy. And then here is where probably the bulk of the movie takes place. Looks like people are running from a traffic jam. I can't quite see what's there, but I guess they're about to get attacked from Skeletor's minions, looking for Adam Glenn, him. Now, some people are suggesting, hey, maybe they're going to do a joke about this, that, you know, he's constantly getting his balls busted by HR and stuff, and it parodies, you know, that existence. I doubt it. I think they're just, yeah, of course, that's what you should put on your name board, you know. Because otherwise, how would you know his pronouns? Well, look at him. It's a dude. But anyway, yeah, it's an Amazon production. So, so anyway, yeah, they shot scenes on Earth settings to save money. But anyway, so there's his HR woman kicking his balls now. And so, yeah, they rip off the Superman story. So he's basically Clark Kent at this job here. But no one knows that he's really amazing. Yeah. And his sword is lost, so he's got to get his balls back. And his, you know. So, yes, the phallic symbol once again. And he goes to this collector's shop, you know, that has all this fantastic stuff. Looks like a statue of Conan, which is fitting because the toy line that Mattel developed for He-Man was originally based on a line of Conan the Barbarian toys. And this was going to coincide with the Conan the Barbarian movie. But due to its rather severe adult nature of the film, they got skittish about having a child's toy line based on a film like that. So they repurposed it for an original character and whatnot, and wrote up a story for it, and the rest is history. The original story was actually, I always thought was cooler than what they ended up with that you saw mostly unfold on the cartoon show. But I guess the original story was a lot closer to the Thundar the Barbarian story and that kind of thing. So maybe, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it was a fun cartoon. I was never fully into it. My brother was younger than me. He was really, and he had a lot of the toys and stuff like that. Yeah. But the cartoon was fine. You know, it was a fun cartoon. But anyway, that's how they're doing this. Rather than have him dress up in the Prince Adam suit, which would really, that thing always looked stupid. I realize they're an alien culture and stuff, but nevertheless, okay, he's in a pink shirt, and he finds the sword, and if he can get the sword, he can get his power back, you know, and all that. So then Teela shows up, and she's got to save him, of course, and tell him how it is. Well, that's probably the case. But still, will it be as bad as the Kevin Smith He-Man cartoon? Well, maybe not. You know, I mean, if she just comes looking for him and they get together and they leave for Eternia, it might just play out fine. You know, and it was a damn shame about the Kevin Smith cartoon because the animation was spectacular. But people say the second season's better, but I still haven't watched it, so I don't know. So here you go. You see a bit of the lineup here. You've got Man-at-Arms, yes, a race swap, and I would recommend against it because, you know, you get a whiff of wokeness, and they're already in trouble with the he-him stuff, so I don't know. That might hurt. It's going to lose some audience just on that alone because you got to understand just how bad the woke era is, and these bubble people just do not get it. Hopefully you're not as stuck in the bubble as the people over at Star Trek are, but I don't know. Anyway, I think this is the Robotitrix. I forget his name. Again, Man-at-Arms, I know Tila, I know Cringer, but a lot of them I don't know. You know, but anyway, you pretty much get the lineup there, and this is on Eternia, so they're on Eternia. You got the big statues and everything, so yeah. So anyway, it looks like probably Man-at-Arms out of his suit, and maybe he's breaking out of prison or something like that. I don't know. But, here's the line from McCloy. If it's just, hey, hopefully they're just mocking the woke crap and move on to Eternia, and otherwise it's R.I.P. He-Man. Yeah, if it's infested with woke nonsense, it's dead on arrival. And you have your opening night, and who sees it? They're immediately going to come out and say, never mind, it's crap. And then that'll kill it. Yeah. But if the Earth stuff is just to a minimum, and there's a little more of Eternia than we expect, that could go a long way. But for the most part, I think you're going to see a lot of this. And a lot of this, you know. But hopefully there's a lot of adventure to it. I would rather the Earth stuff just not really be there. Because, I mean, look, most of what I know is from the Filmation cartoon of He-Man, and that was all about Eternia and stuff. And so why not? Sure, a live-action version would be expensive, but Amazon's got money. So anyway, hopefully it'll be good, and we'll see how that works out. Apologies for the voice. I am severely under the weather. Another thing that's severely under the weather is the Star Wars franchise. There's some amount of curiosity and interest now that Kathleen Kennedy has stepped down. I remain dubious of its prospects, but, hope springs eternal, so we'll see what happens. But here's a new project on the way. Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord. They released a trailer, and it sets up a gritty animated series on DP. So there's Maul. Yeah. So anyway, chains can be broken, empires can be shattered. That's the ominous message heralding the arrival of the teaser trailer for Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord, the newest animated series coming to DP on April 6, 2026. The series kicks off with a 2-episode premiere and will run over 5 weeks, with 2 episodes dropping weekly. Oh wow, I figured they would drop 1 per week, but that's probably not a good sign. But then again, you got to consider the overall health of Star Wars. The Maul show might actually be good, but still, the franchise is very, very weak. As I said, under the weather, like me. Culminating in a finale on Star Wars Day. Oh, you see, this is what happens when I don't read ahead. Perhaps they just want to schedule it to end on Star Wars Day. Still, the franchise is very, very unhealthy at the moment. So anyway, set shortly after the events of the Clone Wars, Shadow Lord follows the former Sith Lord Maul, voiced once again by Sam Witwer, as he sets his sights on rebuilding his criminal syndicate in a dark, gritty metropolis called Janix, a planet untouched by the Empire. The series introduces a new Jedi Padawan, Devon Izara, voiced by Gideon Adlon, who becomes central to Maul's plan for vengeance. Maul may no longer be Darth, but his ambitions remain as ruthless as ever. The teaser hints at a more introspective Maul, showcasing moments of quiet intensity, including a ceremonial tea scene interspersed with brutal action and political maneuvering in the criminal underworld. So, look at a poster. There's our voice cast. Richard Ayoade, I think. He was a guy that was pitched as a potential Doctor Who actor for a while, but he'll be playing Two Boots. I think that's just a nickname for the character, not that he'll actually be two boots walking around. So anyway, there you go. Dennis Haysbert as Master Iko Diodaki. Anyway, Vanessa Marshall as Rook Cast, Charlie Bushnell as Riley Lawson, Chris Diamantopoulos. Anyway, these guys round out the cast. Gideon Adlon, Wagner Mora as Captain Wagner Mora as Captain Brandon. Anyway, notably, the series brings in Marok, the mysterious Inquisitor introduced in Ahsoka, as well as the feared Inquisitorius, hinting at a major showdown between Maul, Imperial agents, and Force-sensitive survivors of Order 66. Okay, that's a possibility there. Via StarWars.com, the city of Janix is described as one part Gotham, one part Metropolis, and 100% Star Wars. Built into a crater and free from direct Imperial rule, Janix is a haven for syndicates and smugglers until Maul arrives to stir the pot. Executive producers Brad Rao and Matt Michnovitz emphasized the serialized nature of the story, with the series designed as a fast-paced, pulpy thriller inspired by classic film serials. Well, that's a good way to look for a template for your storytelling when it comes to Star Wars, because that's what the original was based on, film serials. The show will explore Maul's shifting ideology, power plays, and relationship with Devon, a young Jedi forced to question everything she once believed. Yeah. Visually, Shadow Lord, Maul gets fat. No, he doesn't. Shadow Lord marks a major leap forward. Cinematography, lighting, and VFX director Joel Aaron returned to classic techniques using real brushstrokes on glass and matte paintings. Wow, that is impressive. Most impressive. To blend tactile texture into the animation. The result is a uniquely stylized Star Wars aesthetic that nods to the past while pushing technical boundaries. Animation director Keith Kellogg and the CGCG team also worked to enhance facial expressions and movement fidelity across characters. Created and developed by Star Wars veteran Dave Filoni and Matt Michnovitz, or Michnovitz, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm getting it all wrong. I'm pretty sure that's Dave Filoni is how you say it. With Brad Rao as supervising director, Shadow Lord expands on Filoni's vision of the post-Clone Wars era, Executive producer also includes these other people. While the series isn't Maul's first animated adventure, it promises to be his most personal, philosophical, and dangerous yet, diving deep into a character defined by pain, ambition, and the shadows he refuses to leave behind. Star Wars Maul, Shadow Lord, premieres April 6, 2026, only on DP, with 2 episodes followed by 2 per week until the finale on May 4th. So, all right. It certainly sounds interesting. It's just the thing about Maul is a missed opportunity upon missed opportunity. When you hear about George Lucas's sequel treatments and Maul was supposed to be the main villain, there's a lot that makes sense about that. Now, granted, Filoni had already done an animated conclusion to the Maul story, which I gotta say is pretty damn good. And it kind of robs any chance for a spectacular scene in a Kenobi story. And because it happens right there. And I was like, man, just the clip alone of the confrontation, it's really good. And so now it's kind of like, well, you know, his story's kind of over, you know. I mean, what are you going to do? I guess since we've had several characters in Star Wars of late that get gutted by a lightsaber and yet survive it. So, excuse me. But I guess you could do that with Maul. Or they just suddenly say, okay, it's no longer canon. That encounter didn't happen, which takes away from it because it's pretty good. So I don't know what you'd do. There was this attempt with the Solo film, which I don't care what anyone says. Yes, it's a bad film, but it's nowhere near as bad as the sequel trilogy, and certainly nowhere near. Nothing is anywhere near as bad as Last Jedi. There's a lot of dumb crap out of Star Wars. The Last Jedi was just absolutely cruel and vindictive towards the legacy of Star Wars. But anyway, Solo paid mostly for the sins of Last Jedi. It followed it, you know. But nevertheless, it was setting up this story about Maul being the central villain and being the leader of this criminal syndicate. And I gotta admit, you know, I'm kind of intrigued by the concept. Now, the cartoons followed through with Maul being a continuing character, but it's just too bad it didn't work out. Yeah. So they're still chasing it. And so they'll do this in another animated series that unto itself might be okay, might not be bad, it might even be great. But the brand damage is so severe for Star Wars. How many are going to show up to give it a shot? Well, I guess we'll find out in April. This is a Nailsin News Bulletin. A woman in a Walmart parking lot tried to stab a shopper through a car window. A woman in Missouri robbed a convenience store with a pocket knife before traveling to Walmart and attacking a shopper sitting in the parking lot. Samantha Feeler, 31, faces a slew of charges, including attempted robbery, assault, unlawfully using a weapon, and armed criminal action. All felonies. The alleged crime spree occurred at 3 p.m. when Feeler entered a Sinclair convenience store located on 2003 North Bishop Avenue in Rolla, Missouri. According to a probable cause statement, she walked up to the checkout counter, displayed a pocket knife, and demanded money from the cashier. "Open the drawer and give me money," the suspect allegedly ordered. "Open the drawer, or I'm going to kill you." The cashier backed away from the register and attempted to press the panic button located beneath the counter, but was unsuccessful. Feeler then left, and soon after, an officer with the Rolla Police Department responded to the scene. Less than an hour later, Feeler is believed to have threatened someone else. This time, she was at the Walmart
Center, located on South Bishop Avenue in the city. Thieler parked her car in the parking lot and approached a woman as she was seated inside her vehicle. The woman rolled her window down, at which time Thieler displayed the same knife used during the robbery at Sinclair and threatened to stab her. The woman began screaming for help as Thieler reached through the open window and grabbed something. The woman continued to scream as she tried to roll the window up. Thieler reportedly then returned to her vehicle and later entered Walmart. At about 4 p.m., the same officer who responded to the Sinclair convenience store arrived at the superstore. Officers were focused on the suspect by this time. While Thieler was inside Walmart, she actively resisted officers. She was eventually arrested, with authorities noting she was wearing the same clothing that she was observed wearing during the robbery at Sinclair. She didn't even change. Thieler was transported to the Phelps County Jail, but according to the court document, her transgressions had not ended. As her handcuffs were removed, she attempted to grab a department-issued taser from an officer's vest, and while being fingerprinted, she fled from the booking area. She was subsequently cuffed again and placed into a jail cell, where she remains. Her bond was set at $250,000. Jeez. I wonder if they just hog-tied her, So anyway, there you go. If you see someone coming up to your car while you're sitting in your car in the Walmart parking lot, don't roll the window down. I don't care what the problem is. Don't.
This has been a Nailsin News Bulletin.
Apologies in advance for my voice. I am under the weather. So, apparently, Christina Hodson will be writing the DCU Batman movie, The Brave and the Bold, provided the DCU survives long enough for there to be a Brave and the Bold film. Now, you might remember her from such great stellar efforts like The Flash and Birds of Prey. Now, I know this isn't a popular opinion to say anything good about the Flash movie, but it was way better than Birds of Prey. Now, there were possibilities in the Flash movie that could have worked. It was never going to work with Ezra Miller. However, his performance in the movie is probably his best. With, I guess the exception to Justice League, the Zack Snyder Justice League, but he wasn't as irritating as I expected him, and plus the plot played on that with his older self getting in arguments with his younger self about how goofy and ridiculous his younger self was, and so you have Ezra being embarrassed by himself, which he should be. Well, for more serious reasons than just attitude. But anyway, so first reported by Jeff Snyder and now confirmed by The Hollywood Reporter, screenwriter Christina Hodson is officially writing The Brave and the Bold. The DC Studios Batman movie set within James Gunn and Peter Safran's rebooted DC Universe. The project is supposed to feature the debut of Damian Wayne, Batman's long-lost son, as Robin. While DC Studios declined to comment on Hodson's involvement, Gunn has yet to comment on Threads. Multiple sources told The Hollywood Reporter she has been quietly working on the script since at least last fall. It's also thought that the script has gone through multiple writers and that the true fate of Gunn's DCU and Brave and the Bold depends on the new owners of Warner Brothers Discovery, either Netflix or Paramount Skydance. The Brave and the Bold is a completely separate project from the Matt Reeves' The Batman franchise starring Robert Pattinson. That universe, dubbed DC Elseworlds, is being given ample space to breathe.
per the Hollywood Reporter's insiders in D.C., is in no rush to put another Batman film into the marketplace. This is another one of these constant stumbling blocks that DC has run into. It's like the DCEU, when it had failures, then suddenly they'd have a hit like Wonder Woman and then Aquaman. You know, and then they're kind of like, well, I guess we can't just scrap it all together. And stuff like that. Here, they decided let's just do a standalone Batman film while they were still chasing DCEU, which was bizarre. You know, what were you going to do if the DCEU film started making billions? You know, it's strange. So you got the Batman that with no intention of integrating it into any shared universe. And now, okay, we're going to reboot the shared universe and we'll introduce Superman. Yeah. But Batman is your big star, so you got to have him in there. Oh, sure, we'll have Batman. But now you're going to have two competing Batman in the cinema. It was always going to be a problem. So anyway, the priority for Gunn's team is ensuring The Brave and the Bold has a unique tone and visual identity that extinguishes it from Reeves' darker noir world, states the report. So probably a silly Batman. And you can only go so far with that. Not very at all. So that's the problem as well. And I don't think there's any stomach for that crap. Andy Muschietti, the Flash, remains attached to direct The Brave and the Bold, but his involvement may depend on scheduling. Well, you mean as the excuse as to why he has to bow out? The Hollywood Reporter says that thanks to the breakout success of Welcome to Derry, HBO's It prequel series, Muschietti's plate may soon fill up. Season 2 of Welcome to Derry is reportedly in early development. So yeah, he is actually busy. So this isn't Hodgson's first time writing in Gotham. She previously penned the Batgirl film that was canceled. So was it crap? Was it worse than Birds of Prey? I don't know. And of course she did Birds of Prey. The Hollywood Reporter also confirms what we, Cosmic Book News, told you about the real ending of The Flash, and says Hodgson wrote the script for a Batman Beyond movie starring Michael Keaton, which gained traction inside DC before ultimately being shelved. And that's probably a shame. Now, again, her script. Without being butchered constantly and with a different star, maybe The Flash would be okay, but it probably would be the same as like Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle, that film it's not a bad film. It's fine. But of course it bombed in the market. Plus it was part of the DCEU and they'd already announced DCEU is dead. So, but the Flash movie, there's a lot of stupid in it. Their explanation for the time travel is, it's pretty lazy, but who the hell knows? We don't have super speed powers to prove the theory. So anyway, Hodgson also wrote Muschietti's The Flash movie. Yes, the one with multiple Batman. The same one Gunn described as the best superhero movie ever. Well, I think a lot of people have come to the conclusion Gunn's not above lying occasionally. As of now, it sounds like Gunn's DCU Batman won't debut until at least 2028. Again, if it's allowed to. Well, yeah, that's two things. The new owners, Netflix or Paramount, could come in and say, we're scrapping this, and Gunn might get a deal to pitch a project, but that's about it. And there's no Brave and the Bold. Or Matt Reeves' Batman makes $1 billion, and they want the Batman 3. Plus perhaps another HBO Max series like The Penguin, maybe a Penguin 2, that kind of thing. So then it's Reeves' Batman that continues to dominate, the Batman IP. And then, well, look, we got this silly Batman story with Batmite in it and Bitchy Damien or something, that's not going to cut it. So there's two big reasons against it that probably even 2028 is too early. Now, if the Batman Part 2 bombs, all right, then there's more of a window for another Batman project. But I always said the simplest thing was just say the DCU begins with the Batman and leave it at that. And you figure it out how to incorporate it within. I mean, you can just say, Gotham's a very noir type town. It's very dark and corrupt and gritty and nasty. And that's how that is. Metropolis, well, it's a different thing. It's very fantastic and bright and everything, which is always the case between the two cities. That, well, maybe not always, but for quite a while it has been depicted as such. And that's the world of Superman. And he's bright and cheerful and more optimistic than Batman. That kind of thing. And then they kind of butt heads, but ultimately have a friendly respect with one another and a friendship and that sort of thing. You could do it, even though he did all this grounded stuff, despite having some rather fantastic elements happen within the movie. I mean, come on. So, not optimistic about this. She did write the script for the Bumblebee movie. There's a lot of praise for it. I never saw it, but a lot of people really liked it. Say it's the best Transformers movie, which to my thinking isn't saying much, considering I thought the Transformers movies were terrible. But I didn't see Bumblebee, so maybe Bumblebee is as good as people say. So I don't know. And then there's all the parameters. And she might have a good script, but by the time it gets before camera, it's a totally different animal. It could be that. So, not optimistic, but there's so many factors here beyond just the script that this may never see the light of day.
Sometimes I feel fat and unattractive. But then I go shop at Walmart, where the average customer is at least 400 pounds, and I'm nowhere near in that ballpark, so I feel great. Thank you, Walmart.
Yes, Walmart, where you can simply look around and feel better about yourself. Unless, of course, you're a regular.
Apologies in advance for my voice. I am under the weather. So, Avengers Doomsday rumor. Worlds die in shocking opening scene. So that was teased quite a bit by, again, rumors, of course, but it lines up a lot about what the problem is, and it's this multiverse collapsing and past iterations of Marvel characters will be no more. So, don't know exactly how that'll go for people. I mean, for the Fox X-Men world, I thought Logan was a good conclusion to it. But then, of course, you had Deadpool and so, boy, it just keeps on going. So, anyway, here's some of the rumors that sets the stakes for this Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars and so forth. So we get possible major Avengers Doomsday spoilers regarding the end of worlds and what sounds like a massively shocking opening scene. So potential spoilers. So if you don't want to hear any of this, I guess you can't watch this video. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Interestingly enough, according to the rumors, we've already seen some of the footage. Well, no doubt you're seeing, especially this business of Cyclops taking his goggles off and blasting out the sky and stuff. Something terrible has happened. A lot would suspect that Jean Grey has died. And, I mean, I know he said, hey, she died in the original series. Yeah, but then remember Wolverine time traveling changed all that. So she was alive again. Well, not anymore. So, a wild new rumor about Avengers Doomsday may signal the end for Tobey Maguire's iconic Spider-Man. According to the latest report from Nerdrotic, the film kicks off with an explosive multiversal set piece where Tobey Maguire returns as Peter Parker, only to be killed when Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds show up. So it's been teased around. Are they going to be in it? Will they be in it? They shot scenes, but they haven't really finalized an agreement, stuff like that. I mean, of course they got to be in it. That's their last big successful film. It's Deadpool Wolverine. And it does a lot more to set up your multiverse stuff in it alongside the Spider-Man movie, the Doctor Strange movie. It had multiverse in the title, but it didn't really, So yeah, they got to be in it. So I'm guessing, they're going to show up. The scene reportedly sets the tone for the entire movie, described as serious and aiming to one-up what Marvel and the Russos did with Infinity War. Well, let me read the whole thing first. Where Thanos took out Xandar, the Hulk, Thor, Heimdall, and Loki at the start of the film. Right. It showed how serious a threat he was and how powerful he was and all that, and he just beats them all down. But yeah, to set the serious tone of how bad this was. But then Thor shows up at the Guardians of the Galaxy ship, and it goes back to being Tee-Hee and Goofy for a little bit. And they still gave Thor a good run in that movie, so there is that. But that's mild in comparison to the crap that would follow, later, post-Endgame and all that. But anyway, the problem here is, you could set up a lot of spectacular scenes and whatnot, but Infinity War had the benefit of really solid films leading up to it, and especially with Thanos being teased throughout those films. And then here he's full on, your villain in Infinity War and Endgame. That's not the case here with Doctor Doom, and that's the failings on Marvel. And they're just going to try to ass backwards do it in one movie. It's kind of like how the DCEU tried to catch up with Marvel and do in Batman versus Superman in one movie what Marvel did in 4 to 5. Yeah, it's not really doable. Although, we may find that Batman vs. Superman is better than Doomsday. I don't know. Excuse me. We'll see. But anyway, co-hosts Gary Beekler and Chris Gore discuss the rumor, revealing that Tobey's Spider-Man appears in the film's opening, possibly alongside Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus, and meets a brutal end. Each world is every world for itself, Beekler explains, hinting at universes falling one by one. Tobey Maguire dies and the world is destroyed. So they're sort of forced to it's nothing personal, but it's either your world or mine. Beekler adds, and that is because of the X-Men. So the X-Men show up in Tobey Maguire's world and destroy it. So, if true, this marks a shocking twist where the X-Men, particularly Wolverine and Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, are responsible for wiping out a fan-favorite Marvel universe. An outside rumor has also claimed Hugh Jackman's Wolverine kills Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. It could be. But here, this scene, that doesn't speak to me that Cyclops is fighting Spider-Man. This looks like he's really upset. He said, he's really tortured about what he has to do. But I'm thinking it's because, there's something to make him that explosively mad and desperate would be Jean Grey dying. Anyway, adding more fuel to the speculation, Gore points to a scene fans have already seen in the teaser. Scott Summers' Cyclops removing his glasses and unleashing an optic blast. Who is he fighting? Gore asks. Not the Sentinels, Beekler responds. Gore answers, Spider-Man. The implication is that Tobey's Spider-Man may not just fight Wolverine, but also square off against Cyclops and the X-Men, raising major concerns about how fractured the Marvel universes have become by the time the movie begins. Well, fractured, it looks like the Tobey Maguire world ceases to exist right off the bat. And then the X-Men move on to the next one. So, Feige nearly nixed Spider-Man's involvement. Typical Feige. Interestingly, Beekler claims the plan nearly changed during the now infamous Chairs promo era when his source said Kevin Feige didn't want to deal with Sony. That would have excluded Spider-Man from the movie entirely. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do. Look, you managed to work out the deal to get him in there, even after Marvel built itself without Spider-Man, which is an amazing achievement on their part. Spider-Man is the star of Marvel Comics, period. It's like Batman is the star of DV Comics, period. That's the way it is. You may have a character that's more your favorite, and you can make all kind of arguments. Superman should be the star and all that. But you got to deal with the way things are. And once they got that deal to do Spider-Man movies and have him meet the other characters and stuff, you got to stick with that. To do something this significant, to set up your reboot and all that and try to restart your franchise that you destroyed, you can't do it without Spider-Man, regardless of who's playing the character. However, it appears the decision was reversed, and Maguire's inclusion was not only reinstated, but used as a high-stakes opening to showcase the dangers of the multiversal collapse. As if that wasn't enough, Beekler drops another bombshell. Doctor Doom is said to be the one who ultimately destroys the Marvel Universe. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I think that's the deal. So it collapses into Battleworld, and then they fight over what iteration of the universe, multiverse, whatever, survives after Secret Wars is over. So anyway, this fits with earlier rumors that Avengers Doomsday will serve as a culmination of multiversal chaos, ending with Doom as the last villain standing before the rebooted Avengers Secret Wars timeline takes over. They're swinging for the fences on this one, Beekler claims. The creative team behind Avengers Doomsday is reportedly determined to one-up the emotional impact and scale of Infinity War. That would explain why such massive legacy characters and fan-favorite actors are rumored to appear and die in brutal, unexpected ways. Doomsday gets released December 18th, 2026. Well, that's what they got to do. I mean, first of all, it's a multiversal story. It was always going to be that way, even when it was going to be Kang Dynasty, because they were teasing all this stuff and relying on the gimmick. But now they're completely dependent on legacy movies from the past for anyone who's, has an attachment to those iterations of the characters. So Spider-Man dying, the X-Men dying, and stuff like that. That's the emotional weight you need, because there's nothing built up for the MCU itself leading up to this movie. So you're heavily dependent on these legacy characters. Plus, they got to bring their own legacy characters, their original characters back with Chris Evans and the like, So it's more gimmick than actual story, but a well-performed narrative and whatnot that they put together should deliver an entertaining experience. Is that enough to win back the trust and for future iterations? Well, it depends on that first teaser or first trailer. Well, yeah, teaser probably of your next project following all of this. If it's a crappy, woked up X-Men, dead on arrival. But I think the X-Men, the new X-Men that they're going to develop, and I'm pretty sure Sadie Sink is their new Jean Grey. So they're already casting, and we'll probably meet more of them as this Doomsday and Secret Wars unfolds. And then that'll go on into the MCU's X-Men with a restarted universe. So some of the things that you saw in those MCU movies remain canon, others not so much. One of the rumors is the post-Endgame films get wiped out. And I am fine with that. I'm dubious that they would do that completely, but we'll see. But anyway, that's the idea. because you don't have the build-up like you did with Thanos. You only have these legacy characters based on a bunch of films of the past from Fox and Sony, and you're hoping that's enough to get you emotionally immersed in the narrative and the high stakes of the battle here for all these fan favorite versions and beloved, what have you, of these characters meeting their end. So anyway, again, maybe Cyclops is fighting with Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus. I don't know. But to me, to see him like that, or unless he's forced to do this, he hates doing it. He doesn't want to have to kill Spider-Man and all that, but he has no choice. And maybe that could be the agony you see there. But I'm thinking Jean Grey is no more. And maybe she dies in the fight with Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus. I don't know who else they could get out of the Maguire verse, I guess. Just throw in the Green Goblin again. But anyway, but yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to this rumor that probably, that's how it opens up. Maguire meets his end. I still think maybe both Maguire and Garfield show up at the end of the Spider-Man movie to recruit him for the multiverse war. And maybe there'll be two Spider-Men going forward with Maguire and Holland. And then ultimately Garfield meets his end and Holland survives for perhaps another Spider-Man movie following the reboot. I don't know. But anyway, I suppose they could kill him and do their Miles Morales thing. I think that's a bad idea. But maybe they'll do that. But anyway, there you go. It's still a Hail Mary pass. It may make money. It may do very well. Will it save the MCU? I am extremely dubious that is the case. And of course, it depends. What are your plans for your new MCU? If it's more of the same of the past few years, dead on arrival.
This is your ass. This is your ass in prison. Any questions? This has been a public service announcement reminding you that if you do the crime, you will do the time. Hard time.
Apologies in advance for the voice. I am under the weather. So Zack Snyder teases Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. Well, he's been teasing it even before he did Man of Steel. He started teasing it after he did Watchmen. And, Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns is basically his preferred vision of superheroes. So Zack Snyder dropped another image stirring speculation, and this time it points directly at Batman. So yes, he's been teasing a lot of imagery on his Instagram, a lot of DCEU stuff. So Henry Cavill's Superman, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, Ben Affleck's Batman, on and on, Aquaman, so on. Now, to be fair, he's teased a lot of images from his other movies, 300, couple from Sucker Punch, stuff like that. But the DCEU images greatly outnumber those. So the suspicion was, is there some talks about him returning to DC? One of the ones I thought was probably more likely is Dark Knight Returns. That he could absolutely do that. Would he cast Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill as Batman and Superman in that film? Maybe, but I mean, since he borrowed a lot from Dark Knight Returns in Batman versus Superman, I don't know. And there again, I don't know that certainly that Cavill has always wanted a solo Superman film to follow up on Man of Steel. If he doesn't get that out of any deal, he might not be interested in doing it. You have to recast it for this film. So, but it would be cool if he could do that. I've always thought that the best thing about, he probably should have just done a full-on adaptation of Dark Knight Returns instead of Batman versus Superman.
And then the rest of the DCEU would be set in the past from that movie. And they could have gone with that. But anyway, so he showed a photo of his workbench filled with pottery jars. But eagle-eyed fans quickly spotted something tucked into the corner, a copy of Frank Miller's iconic graphic novel, The Dark Knight Returns. So there's the image. There's the pottery. He's into making pottery. And oh no, look what's here. It just happens to be there. That's where he keeps his Batman comics, in his pottery studio. Yeah. So, and he's teased stuff like this for quite leading up throughout the release of the Snyder Cut, especially on Vero. He would do that a lot, and then of course we know, it bore fruit. The Snyder Cut was eventually released. So Snyder has long expressed interest in adapting the story in a comic-accurate way. With recent buzz around Netflix's acquisition of Warner Bros. Discovery, some fans are wondering if this tease is more than just a coincidence. Sources tell us that Snyder wants Ben Affleck back as Batman, and that Affleck is open to returning under the right circumstances. Now, a Zack Snyder directed film, I think Ben Affleck would return to that. Anything else, probably not. By all accounts, he really does have a very good relationship with Zack Snyder. So, yeah. But as far as Netflix goes, early on, there was people clamoring for Warner Bros. To sell the Snyderverse to Netflix, and they would produce their separate DC operation there with Snyderverse movies. Because Snyder was over at Netflix doing his Army of the Dead and Rebel Moon. Those were terrible. Those were terrible films. His Twilight of the Gods was the most interesting of the ones he did. So I don't know that the relationship with Netflix is still there. So what about if Paramount wins out on this bidding war over Warner Brothers? Well, there's some indication that maybe there's interest there. But ultimately, I mean, pursuing the completion of the Justice League story that he had mapped out, a Batman Dark Knight Returns film seems more likely. It's one film, and maybe it has Ben Affleck in it, but it wouldn't necessarily be the same thing as the DCEU Batman. Anyway, we're also hearing Snyder's recent wave of Justice League era behind-the-scenes images is more than just nostalgia, as he's reportedly testing fan response, which has been overwhelmingly positive. Could a live-action Dark Knight Returns be next on Snyder's list at Netflix? Ben Affleck's new movie with Matt Damon, The Rip, happens to be at Netflix. Affleck also has the Batsuit fully on display at their studio. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. If Paramount happens to nab WBD, we're told the Snyderverse could be fully back in play. So this is what Cosmic Book News claims they're hearing. That they said, no, we would want to see the full-on Snyderverse come back. So the Justice League films would be completed and all that. Back in December of 2023, Zack did say he would end his superhero career with The Dark Knight Returns. He says, if you look at Watchmen, where Alan Moore took basically a iconographic characters that you could superimpose over a lot of, if Night Owl was Batman. Well, he wasn't. Night Owl was Blue Beetle. And so he was, I know he has more of the look of a Batman suit, but yeah. Although there is something to argue about Blue Beetle, as Steve Ditko imagined him, was sort of a mix of Spider-Man and Batman. So yeah, there's some Batman in there. Dr. Manhattan is Superman. That's a little more, even though Dr. Manhattan is based on Captain Atom. But yeah, he's the only character with superpowers. and he's far removed from humanity and all that. You can make all these different sorts of archetypical, however you want to say it, hero analysis over the top of those stories. That was at the time. Now, to continue, the thing about Dark Knight Returns is it is literally Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and so he's throwing Wonder Woman into it. She was not in Dark Knight Returns. She did show up in Dark Knight Strikes Again, which is nowhere near as good as Dark Knight Returns. But I suppose for the purposes of a movie, you could weave in a little bit of that just to include the other Justice League members. But, and if you're going to make it integrated into the DCEU, well, maybe that could be a thing. I don't know. But anyway, the deconstruction is so obvious and so palpable. For me, it was like comics grew up in a single moment. When I read that book, I was completely laid bare. Everything I thought about superheroes. For me, it's the greatest comic book ever written. If I could do that, then I will have done Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns, and I would be pretty much done with superheroes. Well, yeah, that's kind of like what Dark Knight, and Watchmen are is sort of the conclusion. Even though Frank Miller and Alan Moore still loved superheroes and went on to write them anyway. And really, a lot of Alan Moore's later works was kind of a rejection of the deconstruction mode. He did that at the time because it was an approach to the lore, but it wasn't meant to be. That's the only way you tell superheroes, and a lot of them got the wrong idea that superheroes had to be, adult oriented, overly adult. A lot of sex and violence and stuff like that, especially the violence, and that's not exactly that was not the intent of the book, but it's what happened. And deconstructionism has been played out. Now, an adaptation of, a classic book like Dark Knight Returns, fine. But, and seeing as he sees this would be my last superhero movie, then my guess is you have to table it if you get a chance to do your Justice League sequels. If they could get a project going, and I think for poor Henry Cavill, who got jerked around by Warner Brothers so many times, and Ben Affleck as well, is do the two of them get to do their solo movies of their characters? And you make a full-on package deal, and you get Zack Snyder gets 3 movies. He gets Justice League 2 and 3, and he gets Dark Knight Returns. You have Man of Steel 2, whatever they want to call it, and then Ben Affleck's Batman film, Batman versus Deathstroke, and that becomes the complete. Maybe, time permitting and whatnot, a Gal Gadot Wonder Woman 3 to make everyone forget about Wonder Woman 84. Then there you go. It's a nice little package. It's a lot of films, though. The idea of just, hey, let's just go for Dark Knight Returns. And that would be the easier thing to do. And you include probably just some glorified cameos of any of the other characters like Wonder Woman. Whereas the movie's a Batman movie. But the only other main superhero character is Superman in it. So then you could do that. But what if it's a smash hit? What if it's just people can't stop talking about it? And it's like, hey, Zach, you want to continue your Justice League films? Then, do you do it in a way that you'd have to craft the Dark Knight Returns in such a way that still fits, Well, before Dark Knight Returns, this happened, I guess. I don't know. So, but yeah, a Dark Knight Returns film, that one, whether full live action or animated, or they already done an animated film, so it's got to be a live action. That seems more likely, but stranger things have happened. So, not just the show, but stranger things overall, is possible. So, as with all things, we'll see.
Whoops. Almost fell asleep. Sorry. So there you go. That's what I was able to tape. And I'll be putting them out individually over the next few days. But in the meantime, I guess I'll be heading off to bed. Susan says, try hot toddy with your favorite whiskey with lemon and honey and 4 vitamin C's, then get plenty of rest. Well, the vitamin C I can do. I don't drink whiskey, and I don't have any lemon. And honey, no, can't. I'm diabetic. Susan says, oh, and stay away from any and all dairy products. Whoops, too late. Or you'll be hacking up loogies. Oh, well. The gal who's going to write the upcoming Batman movie did a decent film with Bumblebee, but that's it. Yeah, that's the word. As far as world popularity goes, Superman was the world's most familiar and famous superhero until Spider-Man came along. The one team-up I'd like to see is Cavill's Superman and Tobey Maguire's Spidey. Yeah, well, that probably will never happen unless they get together for some kind of joke or whatever. Anyway, if they kill off Maguire, there's still Garfield and Holland, right? Holland Spidey might fight a variant of Venom. Eddie and Venom wound up on 616, then sent back. Yeah, in the No Way Home movie. Yeah, they might involve some of that if time permitting or whatnot. And I was wondering if they would do a nod for the symbiote suit with Secret Wars, which is where that started. So they might do something with Venom. But as far as Garfield goes, they'll probably kill his Spider-Man off too. Because I think they're wiping all that slate clean. And that's probably where all that'll go. All right. There we go. For what it was, hope you enjoyed this edition of the Nailsin Ratings. Not exactly live, since I feel half dead. But that's all I got. And these are the videos that will, like I said, come out separately the next few days. I guess I'll go ahead and put out the Masters of the Universe one first, that sort of thing. And I do have a review of a Doctor Who episode, one of the this Doctor Who and the Abominable Snowman. I got that one. I haven't released yet, so I can also schedule that. And I taped that one long before I got sick, so I sound great. So at least there is that. So I don't know, might schedule that one for Monday or maybe even Tuesday. I don't know. But anyway, thanks for watching, and hope you have a better day than I'm going to have. And hopefully we'll get to visit again soon. Again, I don't know what the power situation will be with the storm and everything. So, but I will be scheduling these videos to come out, whether I'm able, to watch videos or not. See? Yeah, it's cool. All right, have a good rest of your day.
Vulture.